How was I supposed to know the quiet old man next door was a retired FBI agent? The day I met Harold, I had a black eye. I was trying to hide with sunglasses and a hoodie even though it was 90 degrees outside. I was moving boxes into my new apartment, the one I'd rented under my mother's maiden name with cash I'd been secretly saving for 18 months. He was sitting on the bench outside our building, feeding pigeons. That's a lot of boxes for one person, he said. I'm managing, I said without stopping. I'm sure you are. Something about the way he said it made me pause. Not pity, just quiet acknowledgement, like he'd seen people like me before. His name was Harold and he lived next door. Over the next few weeks, he became the closest thing I had to a friend in this new city. He brought me soup when I was sick. He sat with me on the balcony and told me stories about his late wife, his career that he was always vague about, the daughter he lost too young, Vivian. He said her name like a prayer. How did she die? I asked once. His face changed before he smiled sadly. She trusted the wrong person. 2 months into my new life, I was starting to believe I might actually be okay. Then I found the note under my windshield wiper. I will always find you. Stan knew where I was. Stan was coming. That night, Harold knocked on my door. He took one look at me and said, "Tell me what's wrong." For the first time in years, I did. Harold didn't react the way I expected. No shock, no panic, no empty reassurances. He just listened, and when I was done, he said something strange. "I'm going to help you, but I need you to trust me, even when what I'm asking doesn't make sense." Over the next few weeks, Harold became my shadow. He was always nearby, always watching, always aware of things I didn't notice. "That car has driven past 3 times, he'd say casually. I started seeing the world the way he did. Every stranger was a potential threat, but for the first time, I wasn't just prey, I was paying attention. He taught me things between his observations, how to hold my keys as a weapon, how to scream in a way that actually gets attention. "Predators choose easy victims," he said. "Your job is to not look easy." One evening, I asked him how he knew all this. "I spent 40 years watching men like your ex destroy families. I learned how they think." Stan was getting bolder. He started showing up at places I went, the grocery store, the gym, the coffee shop. Never close enough to confront, just close enough to make sure I saw him. I told Harold. His jaw tightened. He's escalating. When he comes, we'll be ready. 3 days later, I found my apartment door open and a photograph on my kitchen table. Me sleeping, taken through my bedroom window. On the back, tomorrow. Tomorrow came. Harold insisted I stay in my apartment. If you run, he'll chase. If you hide, he'll hunt. The only way this ends is if he thinks he's winning right up until he's not. That night, I sat in my living room jumping at every sound. Harold was next door. At 11 p.m., I heard the lock click open. Stan had gotten a key somehow. Of course he had. He stepped inside and smiled. "Hey baby, miss me?" I stood up but didn't run. I remembered what Harold taught me. "Get out, Stan." He laughed and moved closer. "That's not how this works. You left me. You embarrassed me. And now you're going to learn." I screamed. The kind Harold taught me. Loud and sharp and impossible to ignore. Stan froze and Harold's door burst open. He moved like a man half his age, drove a strike into Stan's throat that dropped him to his knees. Before Stan could recover, Harold had him pinned face down, arm wrenched behind his back. "You like hurting women? Let's see how you like being helpless." When the police arrived, one officer stopped dead. "Morris? Harold Morris?" The sergeant turned to his partner. "FBI, 40 years. Wrote the book on domestic violence investigation. Required reading at Quantico." Harold let the officers take Stan away. I was shaking, barely able to breathe. He put a hand on my shoulder. "It's over. Why did you help me?" His eyes were wet. "Because 23 years ago, a man like him killed my Vivian. I swore I'd never let it happen again." I asked Harold once if he regretted spending his whole life chasing monsters. "I used to," he said. "After Vivian died, I thought, what was the point? 40 years putting bad men away and I couldn't save my own daughter. What changed?" He looked at me and smiled. No sadness this time. "You did." I sat with him, watching the pigeons, letting the silence be enough. Harold taught me how to fight, how to pay attention, how to survive. But the most important thing he taught me was this. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones who needed saving too.